Hi everyone, this is daveac and this is my vlog 155 for Friday the 8th of July 2011. And although I'm doing this very late, now it's coming up to 8 PM in the evening, I've usually uploaded it by now. Accidents and illness won't stop the lift-off of this vlog. Yes, 15 minutes, wine at the end, and let's get to it, David. No music, but I have got a book and we have got Doctor Who DVD as well today. So yes, well, first of all, what an important day it has been for both science fiction and science. But before we do that, let's talk about podcasting news. No new episode up from the Doctor Who Podshock, podshock.net with Lewis Trapani, of course, but the Cultum Collective as busy as always. We did episode 106 last Sunday, and that was From the Mind of Alfred Hitchcock. We went 2 hours 36 minutes on that, and I think we did a pretty good show. To say that because it was done on the 3rd of July, there weren't many people, because of course we're going into the US holidays for July the 4th, so we had a rather small turnout, but I think we did a pretty good show for that all the same. Hope you'll give that a listen. Of course, you can find it on our TalkTube site at 54821, or easier still, why not go to iTunes, look up the Cultum Collective podcast and subscribe. You don't need to download them all, just download the titles that appeal to you or you think you'll enjoy. Midweek, we put up our commentaries. That's the ones we do with Mike, Ian and myself, and we're back to Doctor Who. We've just done about Sherlock, but we're now back to Doctor Who, and we're up to Series 4. So it was Series 4, Episode 1, Partners in Crime, and that went up on the feeds on Wednesday and is also available to download. And just to finish off on that, this coming Sunday, which is of course the 10th of July at 2 PM Eastern Daylight Time, we will be doing Creatures of Myths and Fantasy. Now, yes, we're doing Creatures of Myths and Fantasy. Now, it may well be that there's some talk about Torchwood on that show as well. But the whole point is, as perhaps you're a science fiction fan and know, the new Torchwood series, Miracle Date, is starting. But it's starting in the US today at, I think, 9, it might even be 10 PM over in the United States today, before we get it here in the UK, and that's to do with the amount of money that they put up and so on. I'm quite happy with that. We don't have to wait. The only thing I am pleased about is that here in the UK we get the first episode this coming Thursday, which is I think that's the 14th. But the point is, we get the first episode before the United States gets the second episode. So we're only, days behind. We're not episodes behind. So that's why on this coming Sunday, although no doubt people will be excited and want to talk, we'll try and be spoiler free if there's any talk about Torchwood on the show. And possibly a week on Sunday we will be doing about Torchwood. Got to sort that out, of course, with my co-host Ian. So that's enough of the podcasting news. But it's been science as well as science fiction. Yes, finally, successfully, the Space Shuttle Atlantis has taken off today. It's 135th and final mission. Of course, we've had 2 really major disasters. We had the one that exploded on takeoff, and there was another of the challenges that came down when one of the heat tiles came off, and that burnt up on re-entry. Very sad. I think 7 astronauts lost in each of those cases. Very, very sad. But of course, overall, the whole project has been fabulously successful. The space station has been completed. And for the next year or two, it's going to be the Russians that are going to supply the launch vehicles to get the equipment up to the space lab. I think this 12-day mission is to actually ferry 3.5 tons up to the International Space Station to give them supplies and so on. And I think it's going to give them a bit more of a nudge into a higher orbit slightly. So really exciting times. Now, I said at the beginning, accidents and illness won't stop the lift off, get it, of this vlog. Well, what are to do? you'll probably know that my co-host Ian, the sick doctor, had a really nasty accident, fell over and fractured his elbow, right elbow, and poor lad's suffering and having to take painkillers. And if you're listening, watching Ian, hope you get well soon. I've had a real to-do. Yes, it's an old man's illness. I've had gout this last week, but I've finally succumbed to taking some painkillers for that. And an accident, it was funny. It was like two old fogies. The sister, I shouldn't say the sister's old, but I was taking her, she had an accident, some trolley ran over her foot in a supermarket, and she had to have a toe seen to that got damaged. Well, today she needed the dressing changed, so I went with her, and therefore I'm running a little bit late. So let's get on with it, David. What else? Well, I've really been enjoying, after watching Wimbledon for a fortnight, I've been enjoying the golf. But unfortunately, for most of it up to now, in the first couple of rounds, I've had to enjoy it orally. Orally? Oh, that doesn't sound right, does it? You know what I mean? Audio. Orally, not orally. And it's been on the BBC site, but I'm hoping to watch some of the highlights today. Been watching some really exciting news because, of course, two UK golfers, Luke Donald and Lee Westwood, are fighting for number 1 and 2 golfers, number 1 and number 2 golfer in the world. We've got the young Rory McIlroy, fresh from his success at the US Open, and one of my old favourites, well, it's not all really, but Justin Rose. So I really want to watch the highlights of the golf tonight. Golf and tennis, my two sports. So really excited about that. What else has been happening? Well, absolutely tons of things. An old man like me can't keep up. Thank you to Mr. Lewis Trapani. I finally got onto Google Plus, which is the new integration, as it were, of some of the Google services. To tell you the truth, I'm not too sure how it works. It's sort of going to try and be a bit Facebooky with the way it integrates the different parts of Google. But really, I've only just got sorted on that. So thank you, Lewis, for getting me the thing, the recommendation. And luckily this time I did it quickly enough before it got closed again. What else? Oh, yes, updates. Firefox 6 apparently is now in beta if you're brave enough to go and try that out. And if you'll use the email client Thunderbird, that is now up to version 5. And there's 1 or 2 developments that I might talk about next week to do with TalkShoe, but I think I'll mention those next week. Right, what else? Well, before we go to Doctor Who and the DVD, let me say, by the way, I'm not going to give any spoilers about Torchwood, just to say that if you want to know a little bit more about Torchwood and also the other little animated series that goes with it, Web of Lies, go to the Doctor Who news page. That's doctorwhonews.net. There's tons of information about it there, but it might be too spoilery. Okay, now I've got no music and I haven't actually got a book, but I've got another book to read. So I'm going to mention it here. Origin by Stephen Baxter. Picked it up today while I was waiting for my sister, so I'm going to give that a read, and don't expect it for a couple of weeks, and then I'll mention what I think about that on one of my later vlogs. Okay, well, it's time to risk moving the camera. We've got Doctor Who, Planet of the Spiders. I played a little clip of one of the extras last week. Well, we're going to a little bit of part 1. I'm going to try and not be so spoilerish, but there are 2 well-known people on screen, and I've chosen a filmed part of the episode because I thought the picture might look. And it's Sergeant Yates and Sarah Jane Smith, and he's just picked up Sarah, and he's explaining about this strange group of people that seem to practice sort of yoga-y and Eastern type things. So let's hope it plays. Volume's a little low, I ought to mention.
come on. I go with it. What is it all about?
I told you. It's great.
I'll play better than that.
A couple of refugee Tibetan monks setting up a lamasery in Darkest Mama said.
It's not a lamasery. It's a meditation center.
Okay, so maybe meditation's the end thing. Maybe I can sell it to Percy. I still want to know what it's all about. Look, you've got to start at the beginning. I mean, what are you doing here anyway?
I'm trying to sort myself out, I suppose, after that golden age.
Ah.
I mean, like you said, everybody's going on about meditation of one sort or another, so I thought I'd have a crack at it. Then I saw in the paper about these two Tibetans.
And I better stop before it reveals too much. And again, sorry about that slight stuttering. I don't know why it's doing that, but I want to just minimize that. So I just want to just show you a couple of other things. This one is from my TwitPic page. This is Dave AC's TwitPic. And I was mentioning a while or so ago about Wimbledon and the BBC doing a test on 3D on the BBC HD page. Now on my TV, which is not 3D enabled, that is what the picture looked like. It shows it as two squashed side-by-side images. But of course, if you have a 3D enabled TV, your TV interlaces those two TVs, so you're losing half the horizontal resolution. You're getting 960 images by 1080 images, and of course with your passive glasses on, they will then appear as 3D. And apparently even some of the commentators who were talking about it had seen the test pictures of it that they were showing on screens at Wimbledon, and they said it was very effective indeed. Of course, I got no way of knowing that. And two more little pictures. I mentioned last week that I went to a Naked Wines tasting in Manchester, and it was at the studio. This is just one of the stills I put up on my TwitPic, Dave AC, and that is in the studio with everybody around enjoying up to 100 wines that were on offer to taste. And one more little picture. There's me with my glass in hand. Thank you, Jack, for taking that photo. And basically, I think my taste buds were a little bit off that day because I wasn't totally convinced by a lot of the wines. But I think it was because I was a little bit out of sorts myself. But hopefully I'm not out of sorts now. But what I have done, a slight concession to me having painkillers, is I thought I won't want a lot to drink tonight. So when I was at the supermarket again, waiting to pick my sister up from having her treatment, I decided that what I'd do is I'd buy a couple of these small bottles. Yes, well, it looks big, yes. You know the old trick. It's a little 250ml bottle. J.P. Chenet, I think that's how you pronounce it. Côte de Rhône, French wine, 2009. Let's see if we can get it focused in for you. Freeze frame. In French and of course in English. It's it's 187 millilitres and 13.5%. It's only a little small bottle, as you can see next to my glass. It's a little small bottle, already poured out. It cost about, well, my blooming camera's moving now. It cost just over £2, so that's what, $3, which seems a bit dear when you think of the amount you get in it. But I thought it was a good thing to do, so I'm actually using my little virgin wine glass for this. And we're getting, what on earth is happening? Everybody, I'm having troubles today, but we will KBO. And we're getting, not a lot really, to be truthful, but it's more of a berry, a red berry smell I'm getting through here. And it is definitely red berry, slightly tartar than I thought it would be. I'm going to leave that now. It's nice, but it's quite a dry edge to that. Let's see what it says. I'll never read that, David. Excuse me, got me magnifying glass here. Côte de Rhône is a dark red wine. It's extremely good cellar potential and develops distinct aromas over time, ages. Complements red meat, game and strong tasting cheeses. But strangely, it doesn't tell you what it's supposed to taste like. Well, I can tell you it's not complex. There's not much tannins in it. There's a little bit of a vanilla edge to it. But it has got that rather just slightly tart edge to it. And I think actually it does need food. It needs food to complement to this, I think. I quite enjoy it. Obviously, buying in these small bottles is not a good economy way to buy your wines. But I bought a couple of them, so I thought I would use one of them for today's show. Ideal for a picnic this size, of course. You get half a dozen bottles, say, and you go out on a picnic with 3 or 4 people. It means you can each have a couple of bottles this size, and you'll have a very nice time. And it gives you a chance to try wines without too much of an investment. Okay, we've gone nearly 17 minutes, and I think I will stop it there. So look out, I'll be talking about that book, Origin, but not for 2 or 3 weeks. If you're going to watch Torchwood soon, I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to watch it on Thursday, and even my blooming camera's drooping today. So I think I'd better get out of here, don't you? Catch you next week. Thanks for watching. Dave AC next time. Bye.